Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Goeienaand almal, Kaapse vlakte mense, people of the Cape Flats, good evenings. We are tonight live again. Like you guys know, every Monday night we talk politics to different political parties, and we also do ask questions, the ones that, the other media houses don't ask, because we want to know what's happening on the Cape Flats, what is happening in South Africa. So, met ons vanaand, dit was weer vir my chommy Byron, my side chick, en ons het Member of Parliament for East Jacobs. Faiz is well known amongst the people of the Cape Flats. He grew up on the Cape Flats, and he can, tell more about himself. But tonight, I want you guys to tune in to be part of this conversation. Please do share this live stream. Please do ask questions. It's very important that we do ask questions, that we understand politics, because baie mense gaan vote volgende maand of November maand, and we want to make sure you guys know who you're voting for. Your vote is important. Your vote is needed, to make a change. So without any further ado, I have with me Byron and Faiz. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome.
Hey Stanley, how you doing? Hey Faiz, how you doing? Your mic's on mute.
There we go. Perfect.
Yeah,
There we go.
good evening, Molweni. Salam alaikum. Away. Greetings.
I just want to make it clear. So we have 3 EFF members today. As you can see, we all red on. People wanted to know who we are affiliated to. Faiz made it clear that we all affiliated to the EFF. As you can see, his red jacket, his red door, Stanley's red cap, my red top. My jokes aside, Faiz, if you can just reintroduce yourself then.
Okay. No, look. I am Faiz Jacobs, a member of Parliament, proud member of the African National Congress. It's coincidental that my wall is painted red, and I have a red jacket, but my blood is black, green, and gold. So that's me.
Nice. A lot of people would have not associated you with that, but it's good that you can advertise other parties also during this time, during the struggling time.
Red has always been the party of the communists or the SACP. So it's always been for the workers also. So there's the other meaning. And then there's also soccer. The Reds, I'm a firm supporter. We never walk alone. So I can carry my colors also proudly in the soccer space also.
But yeah, like we say, we like to put jokes aside. We like to start everything off with a light on a lighter note. But as you know, voting times is around the corner. Almal gaan nou broodpak is 'n deel. Giving soup kitchens is happening. People's housings is happening. All these promises is happening. What you are part of the ANC and you are a firm supporter. You've been there. You say you're part of the struggle. Faiz, what has the ANC done for us so far? I don't want to ask what they haven't done for us, but mense gaan vir jou klomp problems gee for what they haven't done. What have they done for us so far that you say that people should still vote ANC? Why should people still vote ANC? Why should people still believe in the ANC? Because it's hard. It's a difficult time to believe in them during this time.
Okay. No, good. Look, I think let's start from the beginning. Die mense op die Cape Flats het nie vir die ANC gevote nie. You didn't vote for us for the last two elections. The DA has been in power for 10 years in the city of Cape Town and in the Western Cape. So it's a bitter pill to swallow, but we haven't got popular support as the ANC. We've been in opposition in the Cape. Yes, we've got national support. And if you ask me what we've done at a national level as the ANC, look, with all our problems, the corruption and the greed and leaders serving themselves, that we are sorting out. Ons is besig om ons huis skoon te maak. But here in the Western Cape, and we must talk about local politics, here in the city in Cape Town and the Western and Cape, people have been voting for the DA. So they must ask themselves, are they happy for the people that they voted for? So look, we as the ANC, we're offering a credible alternative to the DA's high water, high electricity, unaffordable rates, services. Here you have a city of 2 Cape Towns in the city. You have a city that governs well for a few people, but they don't provide the necessary support for the others. So the ANC's value proposition, what the ANC stand for, is that here in the Western Cape, We're putting local, young, energetic, vibrant, community-based leaders in your area, in your ward. They're going to stand for ward candidates. And most of them have a track record as being an activist, as someone that's working in the community. Dimitri Jagels is there in Ottery. Vanessa there is in Heideveld. There's a few. In fact, wall to wall, we've got good candidates because we went through a process of candidate selection. And what has the ANC done? The ANC still is the only biggest party that can bring all South Africans together. Ons is the original OG political party that fought for liberation, fought for non-racialism, fought for inclusive. Yes, we made mistakes along the way. Yes, under this current leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa, we're cleaning our house. Also, we're renewing, and we're also dealing with all of the mistakes that people have made or in the ANC. So we have a better value proposition. Our councillors, if you give them a chance, they will serve our communities better. They come from our areas. Ek is 'n klomp van Eastridge. I come from our area, so I know where and how it is to grow up on the Cape Flats. My story is not someone that have been born with a silver spoon. I pushed trolleys at Pick and Pay for 7 years. I took myself through University of Western Cape. I did my time. I've got a master's now. I'm a member. I'm one of 400 members of parliament. So I did my time, but I'm still here and I'm representing a better, more credible, more reliable ANC. So can I say?
It's good. It's all good and well, and that you're saying all those things. And I just want to be frank about tonight's situation because we want to understand everybody. Like we have various parties on, and I asked them these questions. But to understand that the money that was stolen now, and all these things that is happening, it's not stuff that happened in the past. It's stuff that happened recently. So we are not judging ANC on stuff that happened like 6, 7, 10 years even ago. We're judging ANC on what's happened recently in the country, especially during how they're managing us during pandemic. Yes, you're managing the entire country now. The city of Cape Town feel that they are being run well. Yes, there's underprivileged people like every other city, every other province, and all those things. But us mainly concentrating now on the Cape Flats. Let's put it like that. You find yourself on the Cape Flats story page. You said yourself, you're a boy from the Cape Flats. You struggle. How can you still say to yourself, yes, I see all these things happening. If the ANC takes over here, yes, I've got all these ward councillors. It's promising stuff he's saying. I've got kids that come out of what other area. They understand the Cape Flats. And that's what we want. We want emotional intelligence, people that understand people on the Cape Flats. But here comes another thing. The person in charge are still the people cocking up, are still the people that you need to rely or report to. Without them being a ward councillor or whatever, you can't even make a decision. People blame ward councillors. Ward councillors are basically like a EMS. I always say it. You give them an instruction, they still have to go and find out, can they do this thing? So how are we going to make those changes if the ANC maybe once again, because if I serve myself right, they were in charge of the Western Cape at one point. It wasn't so glamorous, if you have to know that. So how are they going to make that changes now?
Okay, fair point. Look, corruption, schelmgeit, whether it comes from the DA, whether it comes from the ANC or EFF, is wrong. And we must have low tolerance for any politician that is stealing his hand in the cookie jar. So let's start there. I mean, we've seen now that corruption is affecting all the parties, and you can't just blame one person. If someone is a rotten apple, whether it's from the EFF or wherever, they must be dealt with. So here was a case here where a white woman, I think her name was Kraus, she's from Tygerberg. So she had a hand in the cookie jar. She uses the churches to arrange food parcels, and she got it. She used that for Jobs for Pals in the city of Cape Town, a DA woman. She's also going through charges now. We've picked up that those people that was corrupt with the COVID, the PPE. I saw now the hawks are capturing people or taking them to jail, even the minister. So We all are shocked now that a minister has been charged and he's been asked to resign from his position. So look, we must have low tolerance, whether you a we call it whether you a tiger, a big politician, or a small politician. Corruption is wrong because it takes away from the poor, it takes away from the taxpayers' money, it takes away from opportunities for development. So we must have little tolerance whether it comes from the ANC. But you see, you can't just make a blanket statement that almal van die ANC is corrupt. It's like saying that elke colored is so dronk soos 'n kleerling. You making assumptions. You're casting aspersions across the board. They are very good ANC people. And look, um, you mustn't be patted on the back for fishing like a swimming in, like a fish. That is what councillors must do. So look, we must deal with corruption. We must deal with even with COVID. Now, our President Ramaphosa, had to juggle competing interests between protecting lives, health wise, and protecting jobs, livelihood. So we always had that thing. Do we go hard lockdown or do we save our jobs? And we have to do that. So we can't do it irresponsible. If we didn't have to go through hard lockdown, we wouldn't have saved the jobs. We wouldn't have helped the system. We wouldn't have helped the health system uh, cope under this. Now we're at the stage now where we're encouraging everybody to vaccinate. So now our message is get vaccinated. At least the vaccine will help you build antibodies, immune. But there's still a lot of fake news going around. There's still a lot of people. I had to convince my elderly aunties, my wumpies, vaccine is the right thing to do. So I think we must all stand together. Here in the Cape, there's big problems. We think the Cape is fine. But if you look just around you, if you look, have there been services in the last 10 years? Have there been development? Have there been jobs? Is our communities more safer? Have there been? So let's move away from the boogeyman because mense die dink dat die ANC and also that race dynamic. The ANC only caters for African communities. What about the colored people? We first were not white enough. Now we're not black enough. As colored communities on the Cape Flats, I work in Mitchell's Plain, I work in Hanover Park. I also run soup kitchens, but I don't brag about it. We support city community feeding schemes. And I go scuttle at the market, at the people's market. I go to the brokers and say, hey, don't you have something? Isn't there cabbages? Isn't there soup mix for our people? The people give, and we then also distribute that. But we don't stand on we don't use that as a leverage. We have to help where we can. During the hard lockdown, our people also mentioned swaar gekry. I mean, I saw a lot of people didn't have a meal to eat. And through that, you could see Capetonians were sharing, were caring, we were giving, and it was tough times. And we also all of us lost loved ones, family. I mean, I can tell you untold sadness where I lost uncles, family members, friends, comrades, and then you just pick yourself up, you just go on. So this elections must also be a wake-up call. People mustn't just be hoodwinked. People must vote based on their area. So if you stay in Strandfontein, you have a choice. You can choose. It's like flipping the but you must know the person that's standing for you. What do they stand for? What do they represent? And you must also be able to give people that comes across as genuine, that's credible. You must give them a chance because you've given other people a chance and see where they've taken us. Look, we the only city that's still having a levy, a water levy. We still have the only city that's still paying a electricity charge. The city is got billions and billions in surplus. But hulle kan nie afslag gee vir die arme mense nie. We're still having on the Cape Flats, if you buy 100 rands electricity, then they take it from your arrears. So this is a city that doesn't really care for its communities. This is so what we are arguing.
Yes.
We need a more caring, more responsive, more listening council. You mustn't just vote for them.
I agree with you partially there. When you vote, you need to understand the person and the ward you vote for. But now you must understand, I said the same thing to Jordan also. I said, this is one thing I want to step away from. I said to Jordan, before we go ahead, I don't want to hear what the ANC is not doing. I want to hear by you what are the solutions you are going to bring moving forward. Yes, fair and well, you said now, yes, the DA, they didn't do this, they don't serve right, they don't have the proper ward councillors there. But let's also be fair, there is some couple of right things they do, just like you guys have done a couple of right things also. But you are a majority stakeholder, the ANC, let's put it like that. You've got majority of the country. You're running the country to so to say. The DA still has to go through you, although they govern the Western Cape. They still have to go through you for certain things. If I'm right by saying that. So by saying that, also I agree with you. One point I agree with you. When you vote, understand who you vote for. But here comes the thing again. The ANC's track record is not proving itself. Now, when you have a CV and you give it in, gaan iemand jou hire if they say the whole time, but you've been fired so many times from this company for corruption, for stealing. They're not going to give you a job again. So should the country not treat people the same way and say, wait, ANC, it's been 27 years. 27 years, you've been stealing more than giving. You've been doing this more than doing this. So, yes, we don't want to put blame, but you've been in charge. So, what changes? How have you rehabilitated yourself? What plans have you put in action to rehabilitate yourself? It's all good and well because you're right. I'm going to agree with you, and Jordan disagreed with me. I said to Jordan, you must understand, people still vote based on race in this country, and we need to understand that. People vote based on race, and that's just my point of view. And as you said it in the beginning of the show, the Cape Flats het nog nie vir die ANC gevote nie. The Cape Flats have not voted for the ANC. So why has the Cape Flats not voted for the ANC? You on the Cape Flats, you part of the ANC. Why is majority those people that also fought to be liberated and was part of the ANC? Why did they change their mind? We can't now say they are piggybacking off the booty. There's a lot of intelligent people on the Cape Flats voting intelligently and changing their minds. So are we then saying, are we then using the race card again? Yeah, you're going for that with the white parties, so-called DA. You don't want to vote for this party. How do we get people to change their minds, and what solutions is the ANC bringing to the table? Like I asked Jordan. Jordan started with load shedding. If that's going to be a solution that can be solved in Cape Town, we can create more jobs because that's things that can help our economy. I know you spoke about vaccination, unvaccination. That's a topic on its own because that's more emotional topic. Some people, we regard the health or whatever it comes in place. But this is the question I want to ask you. What solutions are you guys bringing to the party?
Okay, let me give you some of our election manifesto stuff. No? So, look, the ANC has always been more of a progressive, left-leaning, pro-poor, people-centered in our policy. So the ANC have done what we call the social wage. It's the ANC that puts in a social net for the poor and those that can't work. So the ANC has brought in the grants, the disability, the social relief. You know, actually, the DA blocks these things in Parliament. They block the bill to give a relief to the poorest of the poor. They don't support our budget announcement because their only interest is white business, white privilege. The ANC hasn't really even claimed that victory. But if it wasn't for the ANC, our people wouldn't have got no-fee schools. Our people wouldn't have got pension, grant, disability, the social relief, the 350. The ANC is also putting up a basic income grant because we know the bottom end of our people also needs to live. And so even jobs is difficult. People are saying, yeah, but what about you creating welfare, you creating dependency? The system that we have doesn't allow full employment. So therefore, those that have must look after those that don't have. So that's the first thing. The ANC cares for the poor, the downtrodden, the homeless, that's what we want to do. The second big thing is we need affordable rates and services. My mother and father prides themselves on paying the electric and rates and that. But even any working person, whether you stay in Constantia or Mitchellsplein, they make it so expensive. They pushed up the property valuation. So if you have a house in Ottery, the house is now valued 1 million. Skillet, the city puts it up to 1.5. So your rates go up from 5,000 rand to almost 8,000 rand arbitrarily. Ons gaan nie daai allow nie. because that person that bought a house in Ottery is also struggling. They might not live in a RDP in Langa, but they're also struggling. So we need affordable rates and water and services. The rates and services mustn't be a profit. Hulle moenie soos Ellerines of a winkel we see where they just extract profit. So the ANC won't do. The ANC will put up affordable, realistic rates and water, and we'll have what we call an indigent policy, a policy for the poor, a policy for the pensions. As if your mother is a pensioner and she owns that house, clearly she doesn't have an income, then she must get the rebate. Those that have more must give a bit more. But the ANC is not going to tax the poor to death, which is happening in the city. So that is one of our plans. The ANC has a strong policy on gender empowerment, woman empowerment. We believe that the woman, if you build the woman, you give opportunities, they will also build our new nation and our future. We have strong policies on the economic reconstruction, where we're saying that the banks must make their interest lower so that everybody has access to productive loans. Productive loans mean we don't want you just to lend money for cars or this, but productive loans is for housing, is for opening a business, small loans for this. So there's the grants and incentives that the ANC is putting through. There's also, look, we need to deal with the housing backlogs and the backyarders. The city has failed to do that. Look, under the ANC's RDP program, we built 3 million houses. When we were in government in 2006, the ANC had built 16,000 RDP houses every year. What the DA is doing now, they take that same money that national government is giving, then they just fix. They fix maybe the aluminium doors there in Lavendale, they fix this or that, but they don't build new houses. What they rather do, they go in cahoots with the private developers and make unaffordable housing, so they don't make it easy. Look, my light is starting out, he's now 24 years old. He's not earning a lot, but he also wants to start with it. But it's so unaffordable in Cape Town. Cape Townians can't even buy a decent house, even if I'm working. And we must say the market, the housing market mustn't just be for the rich man. The city is divided based on economic lines. And we need a government here in the city of Cape Town that cares for all of us. Because you see, you can't wish me away. I'm a Cape Townian, whether I'm in Constantia or whether I'm in Kailicha. And so we must find a city that works and cares and shares with all of us. You can't gang up. You see what is happening now. Race, you're right. Race is a big thing. But what they do is they almost manufacture hatred and fear and division. Check what's happening there at Carlo and Colorado Park. You know, people have this thing that all Africans are barbaric or lazy or want to just burn down. But what happens sometimes when there's agent provocateurs, they burn something down and then you cause hatred. Because what happens? The Swartvaar comes in. Immediately when the community of Colorado and Sitalo see each other, they must put themselves into each other's shoes. They are competing for the same resources. They just different levels, but there must be solidarity between the communities. You see what is happening now? We allowed to have racism entrenched. Colored people is racist because they think.
I think before
let me make this.
Yeah.
Let me make this point. You know, I'm saying that because sometimes it's okay if I can be racist, but I'm a bit better than the others. And so we need to move away from that. You must see yourself as an equal Cape Townian of equal worth, because I see you and you must be able to see me.
I think before I ask my next question, I'm just gonna let Stanley ask a question because I think he always has some questions on his side. Stanley, it's a vraag so.
Yes, Byron, I've got a question. Faiz, just to come back, you have now said to us that the DA is in charge of Western Province. We know before the DA was there, the ANC took over, all right? But this is what I want to ask you. The ANC stays in charge of, or government stays in charge of the police services, right? Okay. So we have a problem in Cape Town, in Cape Town especially, where the police services is not what it used to be like. I mean, what JP did a couple of weeks back. What JP said is they can't do anything. They have to wait for national government to send in SEPs because there's certain things that law enforcement can't do that SEPs actually does. So I want to know, why isn't SEPs playing its role? Because remember, they're not governed by the DA. They are governed by the national government. We have so a lot of corruption within SEPs itself. That's so that is probably one of the most corrupt institutions currently. And I mean, on the Cape Flats, I mean, just go to Wynberg. You can go to Wynberg. You will see how police officers are doing. Not all police officers are bad, but we have to talk about the facts. You will see how they are doing deals with merchants in the area, and nothing is being done. What is your take on that? I feel that SEPs have disappointed us. Maybe the ANC can play the game card, or the card that if you give us a chance, we will rule better than the DA. But currently, with the power you guys have with SEPs, I mean, Cape Town is out of control when it comes to gang violence, when it comes to crime. I just want to know more about you. If we should give the ANC a chance, can you promise us within 3 to 6 months' time that crime would be, a thing of the past? Because I mean, it's not nationally a thing of the past. It's still happening all over. I mean, crime is out of control. But just from you, what will happen?
Okay, look, Stan, that's a very important question. It's was almal bly op die Cape Flats, and we want safety and security. Every weekend in our areas, we have to bury youngsters with another drive-by, with another shooting, and it's turf and drug war. The Cape Flats is like South America, because drugs and gangs is prevalent, and to some extent, the criminal economy has taken over. That's the only type of opportunities that our people are getting, and that must change. And this issue, look, drugs affect all of us. I have family members that are addicts, and so we mustn't politicize this thing, but at the same time, we must be able to deal with in a very real way. So yes, you're right. SEPs, you can't fall into the DA narrative that SEPs is ANC and Metro Police is DA. These are two arms of the state, and both of them must work in a collaborative way. We need a strong SEPs and we need a strong Metro Police. They work in a collaborative way. So, when the DA does really bad, then they blame national government. But if national government give them the money and tell them these are the problems, then they claim it to their benefit. That is politics. I mean, the Department of Health is a national competence here in the Western Cape. But they claim it because it's a good thing. The MEC for Safety and Security is managing the police here in the Western Cape. So JP talking kak. Sorry. There is political oversight. The DA is controlling this. They decide on where they must spend the budget. There's a department called Community Safety in the Western Cape. There's an MEC called Fritz. The manager of SEPs, the provincial commissioner, is reporting to him on a weekly basis, including the premier. So they also part of the problem, because you're right, SEPs is corrupt. There's a few rotten apples. They work with gangsters. We must get rid of them. That's why I support people like Jeremy Vieri, General Vieri, and other good cops. We must stand with good cops, because the system wants to get rid of good cops. So I'm one of those that says, look, there's bad fruit apples everywhere, but we must get rid of them, and the police must serve us, and we must give them the necessary resources. So if we get the right managers that is not corrupt in the police, then that constable there in Wyoming that's taking a bribe by the Nigerians, he will think twice to do that. So we must get rid of both the ones at the low level corruption and the ones at the senior. There was a General Lamour. He was a provincial commissioner. He's in jail now. There's another colonel that sold 200 guns to the Cape Flats. He's also being in jail now. So we must confront these things. Now, JP thinks the Metro Police is the DA army. So what they do with the Metro Police, they evict homeless people. They go there, then the pizza boys quickly ransack the people's without dignity. You see what they did there in the informal settlement? They come to Gatesville. The people that's trying to make a living selling fruit and vegetables, they got maybe a permit for apples, but then they're selling pantyhose. The JP's Metro Police is not caring. They also evict everybody. So you see what is happening. Private security. You who can afford private security, then you can have ADT riding around you. We need to ensure that safety and security is coming to our townships. It's coming to our areas, because we also deserve a clean and safe and secure community. And that's what the ANC is standing for. We're saying that there must be community police forums, because the police and the community in that area must protect ourselves. We must be able to tell the police, hey, here's the merchant's house, here's this one's house, this is where, and we must be able to secure our communities. So that's what we need to do. We need to move away from the blame game. JP is incapable of providing safety and security for us on the Cape Flats. And they want to blame a national. His main preoccupation is to get private security on the Cape Point. I went to Braai at the Fourth Beach, and they chased us off as Capetonians from the beach. But there was like 100 private security. Why don't they get private security to come onto the Cape Flats then and help us here? Because you see, they like to blame. They play the blame game. We must be wary. Private security is for profit. Onze mense het nie geld nie. So we need to have a SEPS that works for us. That's why I agree with you. Let's get rid of the bad apples. We need to keep the minister, both Beggy Trailer and MEC Fritz, more accountable for a police. They have targets, and we must call that station commander in our area, in Lansdowne where I stay. We must account to him. He must say, wow, how have you brought the numbers down? But we must work with him in the community police forum. So that's the offering that we as the ANC are making. We're saying, look, we have big problems on safety and security, but each street, each community deserves a safer place. We must have community police forums, and we need to ensure that our police are not on the take. Let me stop there.
I agree with you with certain things there, and that's why I tell people I don't just fight people for the sake of what party they're at. And we want to make this clear: we're not affiliated to any party. We ask various questions to understand solutions moving forward, because it's useless. One thing you've brought up, the blame game, and it's something you've also been doing now, in between saying people blame, but you've also been blaming. So just be fair to yourself. So you've also been blaming people, but by saying that, Faiz, I've asked you a question. I asked you what solutions have you brought forward. I have not asked you what needs to be done. We all can see what needs to be done. We need healthcare, we need housing, we need all these things. We need people to be looked after. But maybe it's not your call or your answer or in your circle, but in the Cape Flats, because that's where you're deep rooted in. And this is what we're talking to today also, where we start out of. What solutions do you have? Yes, we could say we had to get bad cops out. Today, I was applauding my cousin. She works for the SAPS. That's part of the ANC, if you want to say. She found the child that was kidnapped, or the 7-month child that was gone. She did a good job. We need to applaud people when they do great jobs. But then there's 10,000 other cops. But many merchants, many drug lords, I'm scared to go squeal on them. There's people. I come out of the Cape Flats. I am in the Cape Flats. I understand that why people fear, because they don't feel protected. All you're saying is good and well. So I'm going to give you 2 questions now, rather, so we can see if we can find the solutions. If not, I understand. There's the one you said, the DA, they get money and stuff like that. We need to take from as basically you're saying the Robin Hood stuff. We need to take from the rich, give to the poor. But that's basically not how business works. You will cripple the economy by doing that. There need to be a cash flow in certain things. So that's just my answer. What's your solution for it? Then the other thing, as Stanley has said, now you've answered, yes, we need to work together and stuff like that. But how do we work together? We know Jay and Stanley en 'n klomp mense op die Cape Flats verstaan ons mentality is miskien deep-rooted trauma. It's trauma that's been going through us all these years or so. We've been lied to. We've been pushed back and forth, and we need to see color because we've been back and forth pushed by different races also. That's in power. End of story. We need to understand that also. Now, here's the thing. I want to give you a hearing here. I want people to understand you, then just to attack you for who you're affiliated to. They will come with there. Someone said, now the BE is crippling our economy. All the stuff is crippling us. The ANC is still 500 billion. I don't want to hear that. That's now there. It needs to be investigated. How can we trust the ANC? First of all, I need that kind of answer. Second of all, what solution do you have when it comes to gangsterism in the Cape Flats? When it comes to poverty in the Cape Flats also? And how do you think we can create jobs amongst us out of the Cape Flats to empower ourselves? Yes, you say empowering women and all that stuff, but how? How is these programs going to work? If there's someone saying ANC have programs and we will turn this ship around. My friend, what are the programs? Lorraine, please let me know, what are these programs? And what are these programs? What are the steps in these programs? Because when I join a program, I need to know what are these steps that will take me forward. How? That's the question.
Okay. Look, I think the first thing is we must reprioritize budgets, man. So, the city is a multi-billion rand government. I think it's about 500 billion rand. Its budget, annual budget. More than 50% of the people, Cape Townians, live between Mitchells Plain and Kailicha on the Cape Flats. More than half of us stay in that, they call it the East Metropole, in that geographical space. 50% of us stay there. Guess what? How much budget is spent in those areas? Less than 15, 1.5. So that's the first thing we'll do. We won't steal or take from the rich and poor. Look, we need to grow abundance here. Look, we have a thriving economy. The ANC is open. We have a mixed economy. We encourage that businesses. But at the same time, you need to have a developmental, caring government that puts money where it is most needed. Apartheid spatial planning put us all on the Cape Flats, put us have to compete with each other for the scarce jobs, for the scarce education opportunities, and we as Africans and colored are continually fighting for the same opportunities because we have to compete for the jobs. Why don't we create an abundance, a win-win situation? So what are the solutions? Look, broad-based black economic empowerment is not for the politically elites. Let's start there. Broad-based black economic empowerment says that if the city has tenders, then the city must provide a 40% localization content. That is something that we support. Localization content means that 40% of all the tenders must be Cape Townians, must be locals, must be coloreds, must be Africans, must be locals, must be women, must be disability. That's the quota system, because apartheid has always kept us at the back. What is happening in the city? Only a few, mainly white companies, are getting work. We as colors can be good at subcontracting, but we can never get the tenders. Look what happened there with Wumatel. Wumatel and all these service providers want to come into Mitchells Plain, want us just to be consumers. When is it our chance to be producers? When can we be part of the ownership? Ons moet altyd net subcontract. Die wit man staan voor. He gets the tender, but we do the work. We get a daily wage. He gets the profit. Can't we? That's what broad-based black economic empowerment means.
Yeah,
Black
but
people
before I don't want to disturb you, just to give it in there also. But when it comes to tenders and stuff, you need to understand also. And I'm not putting any. There's a lot of well-educated colored people with business mindsets also. But when it comes to negotiation, capital comes into place. What you have in the bank account, yes, you're going to get that tender. All those things when it comes to negotiation in business, even if you have to speak to other countries, this plays a vital role into building an economy. Ek kan nie net vir jou 'n tender gee because I want to say, yes, BE, I want to uplift you. But now, how are you going to create jobs in the future? Trajectory. That's what they look at. First, 5-year term, 10-year plan, 15-year plan. ANC had the same thing. All those things you need to understand.
Okay, fair enough. So I agree with you. You need to be qualified to be able to tender for that job. I agree with you. But are you saying to me that colored people are not qualified? There you can see in the DA, a lot of the people don't even have qualifications. They only got matric, but they're in the leadership positions. So Our people are qualified. What we are saying, we must give our people opportunity. Why is it that Mitchell's Plain, uh, people that lives in Mitchell's Plain can't get the cutting of the grass or maintaining of an area in Mitchell's Plain? Why can't we say a cooperative from the Beacon Valley Residents Association, you get the tender to clean the 5 park in Beacon Valley, and you work with the community and you work on a rotational basis. Why must someone, a white company, come into Beacon Valley and cut our grass? And so you need to find creative ways. And I'm just using one or two where you keep the money in the local economy. We're saying that, look, there's malls in all of our towns, but that malls keep the money away from our small businesses. Because if you can get Auntie Khalima's bakery into a mall, then that money stays with Auntie Khalima or the Kusista lady or this lady. But what is happening now? Malls are taking all our money out of our townships and taking it to the big companies. We are encouraging big companies must also have local content. So that's one thing that I'm in my other capacity as a small business. I help people get grants for small business. That's my job in Parliament also. Government is making grants available. If you are a mechanic, if you are a hair care product or whatever on the Cape Flats, there's a process, a quick process for you. If you register your business, you get a grant of 10,000 or 50,000 just to start a business. Because we're saying we tired of our people just taking handouts. We want people also to create jobs. So look, we need to, the economy is a key thing. The economy is working, but it's not working for all of us. We need to have a minimum wage in place so that, why is it that the restaurants are only Zimbabwean people? Why is it that there's no South Africans working? Because the white companies are cutting people, undercutting people. If you are informal foreign national, then you are prepared to pay work for 50 rand in the fields in the Dwons. But the minimum wage is say 20 rand an hour. So why can't we ensure that every South African gets that minimum wage and we give jobs to local South Africans? So that's also
But
something that we must.
that's how immigration. Sorry if Stanley want to come in with a question, but that's how
Okay.
immigration laws are, so that allows that, and who's in charge of the immigration laws. We need to understand those things. So you see, you say these things, but it's the laws that we have in place. Who is in charge of these laws? The national government. So when the national government change laws, it will then navigate stuff and navigate certain business. I love what you said, that we need to. I'm pro for small businesses and communities. And trust me, I've never said there's no qualifications in the color community. This is one thing I've been shouting all out. There's overqualified colors, overqualified electricians, boiler makers, plumbers, mechanics, and all, you name it. But the business sense I'm coming from, we need to shake each other's hands to say, look here, you are the guy that has the capital. How can we deal with each other? We have not crossed that border yet, because unfortunately, and I'm going to blame every little party, as soon as they come into power, it becomes greed. To be Cape Flats. We know about connections. We had to build our own connection on Cape Flats. We sitting here, we know well what we mean by that. Now that's happening in government. It can for you, so I'll give you the tender. It happens in the ANC, it happens in the DA, it will happen in the EFF, it will happen everywhere. So I'm not going to blame one party. So how do we cross that border? And sorry, Stanley, I know you're coming in with this question. So I my mond loop altyd oor. But this is my thing. I want to find a solution, Faiz. I don't want to blame you. I don't want to blame the ANC. I don't want to blame this is not good enough. That's not good enough. Stanley's going to come in with a question, but and after that, if you can just answer that, what laws would you put in place? There you just blamed. I would say, you said don't use the blame game. We said people are taking our jobs. But again, the immigration law was written by the ANC at this moment. It's passed by the ANC. They're in charge. Yes, those people sit all together in parliament, majority votes. How do we change this law? What laws then do we need to change to put into place? But Stanley, first ask your question. Ek weet ek praat baie vanaand weer.
No, that's perfect. But I do agree with you. If you look at the borders, who's in charge of the borders? The national government, you know. But this is not my question. My question is, Cyril said, or President said, that, you know, they're going to create jobs for black young people. Okay. So we as colored people feel a bit offended about that, because you must be more specific. You know, It's no use we're going to say we are Africans, but when we go fill in the form, it asks there to state if you're colored, if you're white, if you're black. So unfortunately, that tick is still there. But what I want to ask and what I want to say is, the government or the president isn't really being, motivating youngsters to dream, because a few months ago or a few weeks ago, they reshuffled the cabinet. And in the cabinet, it's a lot of old people, and there's no colored people there. There's no white people there. I think we need to also look away from what the old government did. Only white people. We need to start looking differently at things. Let's employ South Africans. We need to see ourselves as South Africans. So my question is, what are we really telling our people? We're talking different stories. We're talking story, saying to our youngsters, dream and dream big. But in Parliament, we have old people that's still running. They're over 60s, people that's supposed to be on retirement. Yet we have one of the highest unemployment rates amongst our youth. So I just want to know, what are the national government really telling our youth?
Okay. Look, very important question again. So let me talk about the presidential stimulus, the employment stimulus package. Look, last year during COVID, the president put out 35,000 teacher assistant jobs. So those were people that were going to help our schools. So each school had 2 or 3 teacher assistants. You just had to be matric. And I think they paid about 3,500. You know how good that thing was, because now teachers had extra pair of hands, and it's normally a graduate or someone from university, and they went to the school. So that is just one program that we have. Then there's the She Trades platform, where we have a dedicated platform to trade into Africa. Women, so I'm saying there's probably another session I can have with all the government programs and services. But our big problem is, how many of people on the Cape Flats know that these programs exist at a national level? And more importantly, are they even taking the chances? So that, for me, let me use the one example, the NSFAS grant. The NSFAS grant says that if you in matric and your parents earn less than 140,000 rand a year, you're going to go to study university and technicon for free, but you must just apply. The stats tell us the people that's not applying is colored girls and colored boys are not applying. So there's a whole government system, there's a whole government, but what is happening? Coloreds are not stepping up to the plate and are not taking their chances as equal South Africans, because they still have this mentality, oh, I'm the victim, I feel alienated. For Kaiman, sorry, I'm a South African, you were South African, your mother and your father was born here. We have the same rights and privileges as other South Africans. Not better, not lower, but I'm a South African. So I must step up to the plate. If there's an opportunity for me as a youngster from a Nova Park to go study further, because we know studying can take us out of our poverty cycles. Why is it that that youngster in the Nova Park is not prepared to take? Because the system is against them. They come from broken homes. So government can't regulate our families that are drugged and tucked and all of those things. That's not a government problem. We have a broken society on the Cape Flats. That's another debate. But we need to step up to this thing. So your point about getting youngsters to dream big, there's a lot of coloreds that have arrived and made it at universities. They've got masters, they've got doctorates, and we must celebrate them. And they must also be given equal opportunity. In the ANC, let me tell you, we have a quota system. We work on equity. We force equity. So we force gender. There must be 50-50. The ANC is the only party that has 50% of all its members are women leaders. We believe in our women. We care for our women because women leaders are better qualified than men. They don't have the big ego. They don't have the stupidity of falling for things. Women are generally more nurturing, more caring, and more responsive to our communities. The ANC also has what we call an intergenerational mix. So we have the wisdom of the elders, and we have the youth militancy. In Parliament, We have a 20-year-old, 30-year-old. But you're right. My view, Faiz Jacobs, I believe that at some stage you need to make place for a newer generation. But you can't take the wisdom of the elders out. So there must be a healthy mix. I also agree with you. Maybe it's time to have a much more youthful. I'm 47. I'm seeing between the two groups, the middle. There's the group that's 65 plus, and then there's the youngsters knocking on our door. That's also very energetic. The 25 plus, and they also saying, "Hey, when's it our turn?" So we must have that mix. And I agree with you. We we can't have Parliament to be an old age home or for retirement. We need people that can productively serve our communities. And our president has made it very clear. We have a strong push for young people. Our future is our young people. I'm worried about Cape Flats youngsters because our dropout is the highest in the country. If a million lighties come through the system from standard sub 8, only about 100,000 get to matric, and even less of them go to get exemption. But we need to start from somewhere. On the Cape Flats, our stats is the worst. Our dropout, our teenage pregnancy, all of those things are worse because we have the legacies of slavery, of apartheid, weighing, and drugs, and all of that weighing heavy against us. So our community have a lot of things stacked up against us. So we as community leaders, we must always affirm that we must push our youngsters, and that's why the youth is our future. I have a youth leadership program. There was a lady that was shot on the Cape Flats there in the blocker there in Q Town. They couldn't. So I made my office there in Athlone. I made my office available for them to do studying so that at least they can write their matric. So this is the type of trauma that's on the Cape Flats, man. So even there's another program. Sorry, there's a program called Second Chances. Youngsters that didn't finish matric, you can do night school, you can do online school. Government is making it very easy because we believe education is the way out of our poverty. Once you get your graduate, you qualify, then the doors are opening up for you. But now, if you only have a trick, then you can only work in the service industry. You can only be a Burger King flipper. You can only be a call center person. But we also want our people to get higher paid jobs, professional jobs. That is what we need to strive for. Look, in terms of the cabinet, let me just respond to the cabinet thing. We serve at the behest of the president. The president has his prerogative to put in who he wants to at the cabinet. So people have asked me why Wukum can also color diet. Why? It's not something that you put up your hand for. You wait. When the president sees potential, he will make time. There is people that is of there's Indians, there's coloreds, and there's whites in the cabinet. So if our people just check, there is the ANC does thrive on building a non-racial. But you see, unfortunately, our country is majority African. Let me lastly just explain the definition that we as the ANC use. If you're not white, then you are black. So that's the first big assumption. Black is the broad term that Africans, coloreds, Indians are all part of. So when we talk about blacks in general, it's the big umbrella body of apartheid. Everybody that was not white is black in South Africa. So I think colored people must see themselves as part of the broader black group. Colored must also see themselves. Let me just make this last point. Colored must also see them as Africans. It is an African. I might be a colored, but I'm also African because I stay in South Africa. What's wrong for us to see ourselves as African?
But I get what you're saying. It's all nice and well. And to be fair to myself, I'm going to say the same answer I said to JP, say the same answer I said to Jordan, to Neil De Beer, to the other guy. I heard stuff, but I didn't really hear solutions. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't really hear solutions. I'm being fair to you. Now, you see, the thing is where you see coloreds need to see ourselves as Africans. It's two-tongue. You say, yes, we are marginalized. We have a different mentality. I can't see myself as someone different because there is cultural differences. There is different mindsets in people's households, in how people grow up. There's different values. Let me say this one thing. I was born in Fowler Park, grew up in Bella. Two people, I'm engaged with a person that grew up in the same road as me, but we have a different mindset. I got to experience the law but differently than what she experienced the law. So we need to understand how far are we entitled, first of all, and if we're not entitled. There's kids in the law. My mother feeds a lot of kids, 350 kids and adults almost every Wednesday, not almost every Wednesday, out of their pockets. Now, let me just make this clear. We need to establish there is cultural differences in this country. When the ANC took over, we needed to understand these are people that come from tribes that has more respect for elders and stuff. This is why you have a lot of elderly people in parliament, and it's neglects the younger generations. They may be adapting now to it, but we need to understand this also. So what you say is it's all nice wishy-washy stuff, and I'm not trying to be funny by saying this. It's Jordan them said the same thing. Neil de Beer screaming unity. They all scream unity and all these things. But I'm going to tell you one thing I want from all of you guys, and be it if at the bottom of the cabinet, on top of the cabinet, I want solutions. This is my opinion. I want solutions. My solutions would be I need to make changes on my laws first of all. Then I need to understand I have different culture of Indians, Chinese even is here, Latinos, whoever is here. I need to understand these groups live in different areas. And yes, we label them at certain ways. We can't take it away now because we're still marking that. They say they should have removed the label of colored in the first place if they wanted to do this. So see, that's already indoctrinated in our heads. So what we need to do, you saying the kids get killed in the Cape Flats. I know why the kids get killed in the Cape Flats. It's mentality. Ek koop tekkies tot ek jonk oud gewees het wat duurder as my hele gap is, more expensive than a kid that lives in a good area, because it's a mentality, it's a culture, the way I grow up in. We need to change that mindset, but there's no one in our government that's changing that mindset because hulle is uitgevriet. They are greedy. They want money. You on the FIEs, yes, it's good. You have a job. You stabilize. You can speak out. And yes, you want to do good things. Why you went in there is for the good things to go in there. Same thing I said to Jordan. I said to Jordan, do you understand the Cape Flats? Do you understand? Are you emotionally in tune with them? It's not just about food. It's not about sharing cultural differences just about food. It's about understanding the deep mentality root that's deeply in a rooted in person. I can grow up next to someone and their household values is different than mine. Okay. Now, my mindset has changed, and I'm going to let you speak now. Why my mindset has changed on the Cape Flats. My dad and mom, my dad comes out of Bountiful, born in Father Park, moved to the law. My dad did not have a cushy job, but he ate up the shit all his life because he was thinking of his family, you know? He ate up the shit, but it does not mean that he's happy with it, but he was thinking of his kids. Now you must understand, there was others fighting for liberal rights. There's some that got better off because they were by the side of those things. But this is the different thing. I had the luck and the entitlement of my parents' knowledge and mindset that could help me. Now in the Cape Flats, there's not two parents. There's maybe one mother or one father because of poverty and all those things. So these kids have no leaders. Our leaders are ex-prisoners. I'm going to say that out here now. People might hate me for it. I hate ex-prisoners coming out and say, this is how I'm reformed now. You can also do it. That means now that you have to go to prison and you can reform yourself. No, you don't need to go to prison to reform yourself. You can start from the get-go and already reform yourself and moving forward. So solutions is this. Change the laws that will benefit people in certain areas. Look what Praza doing now in East River. Yes, people need houses, but people invested in properties there at the back. Andy the way in London and stuff like that. They want to throw shacks there. That areas can't even hold the electricity. It's going to start a war zone. So you want to tell me the government is looking after people? We're going to say, yes, it's the DA that wants votes. But in the end of the day, those poor people in East River are going to suffer more. Those colored kids are going to suffer because they're going to say they are shooting the gun. But it's cultural differences. We need to state the fact what is happening. Okay. This is what we need to do. Law changes first.
Okay, look, Byron, I'm with you 100%. Now, let me just deal with some of the issues. Look, we are different. I can be a Muslim. I can be a colored. I can support Liverpool. I can have different identities. But that doesn't mean that I have to hate you. Or othering means them and us. No, so I grew up in a multicultural space. I had Christian neighbors. I used to do Christmas. Ons doen Labarang Christmas. Ons doen alles saam. We had a diverse upbringing. I've got family on both sides. My mother's Muslim. I've got Christian family. So we understand diversity, but diversity must be able to respect me, my culture, my background, my history, my heritage, all of those things that is dear to me. But I must also be able to do that for you. I must afford the same levels of diversity, respect to you. I must see you. I must be able to see you. So I can't just want mine and I still have othering and look down at others. So we must be able to deal with that. Huh? Diversity is our strength. We must celebrate our diversity. Here in Cape Town, we are different Cape Townians. That's why I like this word Cape Townians. Because we can't be first class or second class or third class Cape Townians. All of us are Cape Townians. And this government in the city must care for all of us. Because you must see me, I must see you, they must see us. So we must be able to start with that level of politics. Unfortunately, on the Cape Flats, in our colored predominantly area, we reproduce the poverty. Let me explain. And I'm just making generalization. The African domestic worker or the African person that's tending to as a garage worker, they put all of their money into investing into the youngsters, and that youngster go to the school, they help with that person, and in a one generation time, that person is a qualified person, and they get themselves out of poverty. They make sacrifices. They don't buy expensive shoes. They don't have the pretense of a Levi and Inama Lekkers. They work hard for it. Yes, there is the stereotypes, and let's deal with the stereotypes. But what happens on the Cape Flats? We reproduce our poverty by pretense. We don't value education. Yes, I'm making exaggeration because there's many of us, but in the area where I work, on the Cape Flats, in Bonteheuwel, Manenberg land, people don't value education. People would rather buy the kids' school tickets than to pay the school fees. That culture we must break, and that got nothing to do with government. It's got to do with us. We must start loving ourselves. There's also a hatred that we have amongst ourselves by pulling each other down. This community that I come from, look, I'm emotionally connected. Ek is 'n klong van Mitchellspruit. No politician, nothing can change my upbringing, where I came from. How much times we moved? 15 times in this Cape Town, where we struggled, our families moved, and that's the nature of it. So I'm emotionally invested. You asked that question, are we emotionally invested? I'm emotionally invested in helping this new generation of lighties to get out of poverty. But it's not going to just be by handouts. Yes, we have tough. We need a city government that can deal with complex challenges like you're talking about in Kraaifontein. But you can't deal with a government that has the them and us. They just want Brackenfell to be safe and secure, but they don't care about it's like an island of prosperity, and there are seas of poverty all around you. You don't care about the people that don't have. We must be able to be generous. We must ask the patience of the poor and the generosity of the rich here in Cape Town, because we are a tale of two cities. And we can't have this them and us and othering anymore. So yes, you're right. We must change the laws. Maybe we must put South African first. And there's even in Parliament, we're thinking of job reservation for jobs as South Africans. There is that thinking, but what does that bring out? What happens if we need expertise from foreign nationals, maybe top expertise? So there's also those things that we must check. This month is Heritage Month, so we have our different cultures. Our 21st are totally different. So you make the point. We have quirky cultures and quirky histories on the Cape Flats, and that must be acknowledged, be celebrated, respected. but it mustn't be at the expense of others. We can accommodate all of ourselves. So this month of heritage is not just about braai. It's about remembering where I come from, what's my roots, what's my family roots, and more importantly, where do we want to go? What's our future? What is our joint shared future in this Cape Town? Can I be part of this Cape Town that sees me in our difference? And I think that's for us a key challenge, that any politician, any party that wins your support must be able to say, not only ons kyk net vir onsself and for Kiresi, we must be able to say, how do we deal with Cape Town's myriad problems? Because, like you're saying now, there's problems there in Kraaifontein, the electricity. But you can't just say you're only building for private housing. What about building a lasting solution for everybody? How do we
No,
deal
I
with
didn't
housing?
say it. My statement was Prasa put people up in you see Andeva in London, that's opposite East River. It's like the new houses that was built there. People invested into houses there. Now they want to put shacks there in front of people that just invested a year ago in front of the houses in a stricken area in East River that's already labored by power utilities that switches off and on and off. But yet because they want vote, so they now going to give their land away and say, yeah, go put on shacks there. We will support you. Of course, what the DA should do, they should just support him. They have no other choice. Like Jordan said, they have no other choice but to support him. They can't chase people away from bought land, right? But what is happening now to the people in East River? We spoke about that's a colored community. What's happening to them? Those kids are going to maybe now sit without electricity on that side. Those kids and families and so forth are going to struggle now more with service delivery because they need to cater for more people that's moving in there where they're already suffering with service delivery in East River. Yes,
Okay.
people.
So if we come in, so let me tell you how I would approach it if we as the ANC come in. Because you see, the city government is a complex thing. You get high paid professionals to deal with proper planning. So you must deal with the legacies of apartheid. You can't pretend that apartheid is not alive and well. You need to find well located land and you create affordable opportunities for everybody. You need to have a social net for those that is unemployed. Because, if we make it them and us, you mustn't criminalize being poor. You can't criminalize those that are poor and make them othering. So what the city wants, they want poor people outside the CBD. You know what gentrification means? Those people in Woodstock, in Salt River, your rates are going to push up really high. So all the colored communities, all the Muslim communities, they're going to have to eventually force to be selling out in gentrification and get them out. So we mustn't have the them and us. So now in that Kraaifontein situation, you need to bring all the stakeholders in board. You need to be able to say, look, yes, my right as a property must be protected because I've got a bond there. I've got a bond there. But you also need to find a lasting solution for everybody. You must bring people together. The city is incapable. There is 214 informal settlements in the city of Cape Town. The city haven't even begun to deal with changing the legacies. There is hundreds of thousands of people staying in backyards. We haven't been able to deal with a housing solution. But this city got shitloads of profits and assets that they do. You know what they do? They sell all well-located land off to private developers. Instead of using land to have mix, why can't we do flats like in America or in Singapore where we have low-cost housing, affordable housing, integrated, where young families can buy a house of 500,000 in the city center? Why can't we have a state, a city state that cares for all of us? So I'm
Again,
saying
I want to go
that's
back to, and I know you want to give solutions and not solutions, but make it seem like yes, we're gonna help. But I'm again gonna say there's no solution. It's not so simplistic at that. It's more complex than what we are talking about, and I want people to understand that. And that's why I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. I'm giving the DA the benefit of the doubt. Whoever's in charge the benefit of the doubt. Things are more complex than what it is because I go back to square one. The laws that we've applied in this country. The law is the first thing that can overrule a lot of things into things that you want to move forward. So this is my solution. So without us now saying, yes, I can speak all day. I can say, I want to help our colored people. I want to make them move forward. I want to get them moving forward. I want to help colored girls stand up for themselves and build a better future. I want to stop gangsterism. I'm going to fight it. I have given no solutions. I want to know by you now, if you have idea, what laws would you put in place to assist this city? Let's talk just about the Cape Flats, not even touch the country yet. To assist the Cape Flats, what laws would you put in place uh, to help poverty, maybe, and to help the gangsterism? Only two things, two little things. We mentioned a lot of things you want to solve. There's two easy laws, maybe not that easy, that will help the Cape Flats.
Okay, very practically, the economy and gangs and crime. So if we are given a chance in the city of Cape Town, we will use the economic budget of the city of Cape Town to benefit our people. We'll make affordable rates. So that's the one concrete thing. We won't charge exorbitant rates, but we'll also use the services that the city needs and get more people jobs in that instead of making it just for we'll localize employment. So there's a policy called localization, which says if there's a service from the city that's in Atlantis, the Atlantis people must be able to get that job, even if it's contractual or piecemeal job. So that's one concrete solution. The money must be able to be circulated in the local economic space. And you see, as a city with such a big budget, you can make a significant dent. You also spend where the people are. Your budget priorities must be developmental, mustn't be profitable. So that's the one thing that we will do. We'll use the surplus money, not for profit, but for building opportunities. And we use, because the city needs to build roads, this, that, and the other. And why can't we create local employment? So we find a labor intensive job creation programs using the city money. So that's on the economy. And we get young people to be part of the interns. We give them opportunities. Because how can young people get opportunities if they don't get experience? We link them to business. We give a tax incentive. If you're a small business, a tattoo shop, and we can give you an incentive to say, carry that intern, pay him 3,000 Rand, and we give you a rebate, a tax rebate. Then we also create jobs, we create local. So those are 2 or 3 examples on the economy. Very concrete, very real, very practical ones. On the creating safer communities, safer areas, I think for me the key thing is we need to have a rehabilitation and drug centers. Addiction is a disease. You know, apartheid used to bring mandrakes on the Cape Flats, and they flooded our markets. Our forefathers were drugged, and so there's the history and legacy. We need to heal. So addiction is a disease that affects all of us. If I had my way, I would open 100 rehab places across the Cape Town. I would open those things up and get our kids getting second chances. You cut the supply because you see what has happened. We need to deal with the high flying gangsters. We know who the top high flying gangsters are. We must deal with them. We know their tax, we know all of those things, and we need a criminal justice system that says that we can't negotiate with criminals. We as politicians must not be in the pockets of criminals. We mustn't be bribed by them. We must live an honest living, and we must deal with this so that we take the need, because all of this drugs and fighting is about turf war. So that for me is a practical one. We need to create a community in a Nova Park which says, in this one area of our Nova Park, in this 1 kilometer, I can tell you there's at least 20 tick houses in that Nova Park small area, just that 2 kilometer radius. In that few blocker, there's at least 20 tick houses there. We know, all of us know where those tick houses is, but they are being protected by our communities because our people are allowed to be enslaved in their minds. We must awake our people. That's a concrete thing. We must have a system Now you're saying, hey, maybe this is a pipe dream. But when we started out with the Bambanani program in 2006, the ANC had this Bambanani program where communities, the mothers and the fathers, our uncles and our aunties, hulle was in charge van our communities. They and everybody's child is that community's child. Why can't we go back to that? Why can't we stop the blame game? Stop the them and us. Stop only just looking after my own and don't caring about the rest. Let's create a win-win. So for me, those are practical things that we certainly as the ANC will bring in if we're given a chance here on the Cape Flats.
I can answer you on the Bambanani system because I knew parents and parents of elders of mine that was in it. It's because the gangsters were told who was in the Bambanani system by cops, and the people were shot, people were killed, people were hurt. So yes, trust me, I don't want to go back into being a racifist, as I used to call it back in the day, with citizen arrest and all those things. Those things were tried and it did not work. Look, I'm gonna give maybe if I'll ask Stanley or say if he has a solution, just to be fair to us. But I'm gonna give you from my side. From my side, I will change the law. Yes, on the Cape Flats and say where can I facilitate more security on the side with competent police. I need to understand my police station from top to bottom. Now you say the ANC want to do that. People's gonna say the ANC can't even pay their staff right. As we know, it's out there that the ANC can't even pay their staff at this very moment. So it's hard to trust at that point. I'm just gonna leave that out there without being funny. So what a solution when it comes to gangsterism? We can't just put more cops in the thing. If the drug area is not ridden, if the high heads are not getting into it, we need to understand. Even through government, it's being supplied because they're getting money through it. Let's be frank. I don't know. I don't know that, but I assume. Let me assume. I can't make a statement on that. But if there's so many criminals happening through the system, how can we even start to go down to the little criminals? The guys that's in charge are the guys that's corrupt. How can we even solve the people that's at the lower end of them, getting the tenders, getting the cases? We get people buying blocks of flats without even having an income. They don't even have an income, but they buy a block of flats. Waar kon die geld vandaan het? Die lig het geval. SARS overlooked that. We know these things are happening. And yet SARS will tackle the man that haven't even paid this 250 penalty. There's a lot of problems in this country. It's not going to be solved overnight. I'm not stupid to think it will. But one thing I know, starting out of the Cape Flats, and I don't want to say it like this, we have to start somewhere. Like every community, I have to understand the community. You can't work in the community if you don't understand it fully. I agree with that. You can't. It's difficult. But you do need the capital. You do need a guy with negotiation skills to build more capital so we can create wealth. So here's the thing, working hand in hand is the best thing. And rehab centers, yes, onze kinders gaan rehab centers toe, ek hulle maar net weer op die drugs, because they're coming back into that environment that can't elevate them. You see, this is why everybody says, I want to move out to Manenberg, I want to move out to Weideveld. I would stay in Belaw forever because the road I grew up with, everybody, my pa het begin na die pad vie, een bisem, en dan pat die ander een af vie, en ander bisem. This is the mentality that needs to change, not just in the Cape Flats, but from government. I help you, I push forward. Yes, I can blame you forever to stay in power, but who's suffering? You at this very moment is not suffering. Think about your grandkids. If you're really not selfish, if you're really not fighting just for in the now, I have a stage 4 cancer patient. Everything I speak here, I could die tomorrow, so can you. But I fight not for now. I fight for future generations because I know how my kids might suffer in this life. You know, so everything I say and want to do is to stabilize and benefit them. As a colored kid, I understand how difficult it is to be in a workplace. There is still racism from every side. Yes, we are also racist. This is why I say you need to see color so you can understand what you are facing. Yes, there's a lot of people that is not racist, is more empathetic to you, more compassionate. But in the end of the day, my friend, we need to take drastic measures and say, let's change this country. Let's change ways we look at this country. We understand there's a colored person in this country. We understand there's a Zulu person in this country. We understand there's an Afrikaner in this country. We understand there's an Englishman in this country. We understand there's an Indian in this country. And for me, for the other races I did not mention, because there are various races and there are sensitivities attached to it. As soon as we see that, we will understand. Then we will not play the blame game. We will then come to you, oh, Faiz, I understand where you're getting at. Yes, you're still part of the ANC, but you're trying to help them and make a change because you're seeing good. But now I can't see it, Faiz, because a lot of people can't see that way because they're only attaching it to the ANC. They're not attaching Faiz to say, Faiz want to help Athlone, Faiz want to help this place. I'm trying to help you here. So when you answer someone, and I'm not trying to tell you what to do, rather say, I'm going to do that. And so be it if I get fired from the top. I see the problems they're doing. And you have mentioned, to be fair, you say there's corruption, but how do we make these changes?
Yeah, look, I've tried to be honest. The ANC had made big blunders in the last 27 years. And I'm being the first to. I kept my hand on the ANC. Ek het my hand op die vlag gehou because I believe a ANC, a good, credible ANC, will help a good, united South Africa. I fought hard to get Cyril Ramaphosa elected in Nasrec. You know, the ANC is a massive, big organization. There's 1.4 million members. Each member pays their 20 rand. So we took a little bit of delegates here from from Western Cape. We took 200 delegates, and with that 200 delegates, we as the Western Cape went on a ticket of clean governance, of corruption free, and we dealt with it and we built the changes within the ANC. I'm still committed to that ANC that I know as a lighty that brought us freedom, that ANC that cared, that ANC that talked about the Freedom Charter, the People's Contract, that all of us, even with my light skin, I see myself as part of that ANC. I believe in that ANC. And I hope when I die, my children will also see themselves as, yes, they're coloreds, yes, they're Muslims, but you know what? I'm a South African first. And I see myself as part of the solution. I don't see myself as part of an island. And we must be able to give that hope. Look, I buried a lot of my comrades, my friends. And so part of my thing is we need to provide hope to our youngsters. We need to provide them that tomorrow will be better than today. And our parents came from difficult, from humble beginnings. But we are proud people. Ons mense op die Cape Flats, we're proud, we're resilient, we're strong, we're brave, we're courageous. We love in equal proportions. We ons is kwai mense. So I know my people. I know that yes, there's problems and ek baklei met my mense, but I will never put them down. We must take them with us. We must be able to say, there's future, there's hope, and we must be that change. And so I appreciate today because you gave me tough questions. You didn't made it easy. And yes, as an ANC person, ek moet my pak vat. But I'm saying to you, there's good people in the ANC. I see myself as a good person. I see myself as someone that worked hard for the community. I'm not a Johnny come lately in the ANC. I was detained in Mitchells Plain in 1989 as a youngster when I was 15 years old. I went to Victor Stay in 1989 and also at Amal Club gegooi. Your generation was with us. So I see you, your contribution, and now you have dreams deferred. The ANC has messed it up. But you know what? Yes, the ANC has messed it up. But if you look at the the others, they're too costly to contemplate. The ANC, if we get our shit together, we can be formidable, we can unite our people, we can bring people together. And under Cyril's leadership, let me just make this point. We are cleaning the ANC. We are dealing with a legacy. So one of these days, there won't be an excuse that the ANC is corrupt. Because that's a generalization. One of these days, you'll see that there will be the majority of people in the ANC will be good civil servants that will be committed to serving our people. One of these days, you will see that the ANC is going to just focus on its people, serving our people, solving our people's problems. And we're going to provide good young men and women, colored, African, whites, Zulus. We're going to provide all of them. And one of these days, we're going to be able to get our own house in order. We are cleaning our house. We are cleaning our house. We know what? Our stuff is more transparent. But I don't want to talk about the other parties. They dismiss Bongin Kosi because he don't have papers. But the white people, they are still standing. Then they only also have matric. But we don't complain about that. We deal also goed is also wat goed is veel is in the outdoor. Yes, we have problems with our staff. We are dealing with that. The ANC has a salary bill of 18 million rand a month. 18 million rand a month. We have 1.4 million members across the breadth of the organization of the country. We have 56 regional offices. We have 9 provinces. We have 9,000 branches in each of the wards across the country. So also is a groot skip. We are a big organization. Yes, I'm a colored, but here in Cape Town, but I also see myself as part of Cyril's new team of cleaning up. I want to invite people to see the ANC as a credible alternative. Your home is in the ANC. You can still be a colored, you can still be a person, you can still be a different, you can respect but you can be part of this nation that brings us together. The ANC stands for non-racialism, non-sexism. I fight for my peoples. I fight for quota. I fight for this thing, but I don't do it at the expense of others. I'm not going to push one race down at the expense of others, but I'm going to support. I want opportunities for the Cape Flats. I fight with the president and say, when is it also turn? When are we going to get the president's youth employment stimulus package to the Cape Flats? What is my quota for Hanover Park? What's my quota for when are we going to put a rehab? So I fight for my people. I'm unashamed about that, but I don't do it at the expense. So I want to invite people to give us a chance. I'm grateful that you listen to at least give me a chance to listen to me, to hear me, and also see boogeyman, also see devil cheese. I might wear a red today, but we actually decent people. We actually. So okay, let me pause there. I want to thank you for the opportunities that you gave me to put our case forward. Yes, we must be more solution driven, and I get that point, Byron, that politicians can go on and on, but I'm also focused on what is it that we need to do. So we need change in Cape Town. We need a government that cares for our people, and I want us to ask our people to give us a chance to consider us in their local spaces. You will know that person that the ANC is putting up. That person is tend to want a civic or community leader or activist that brings new values. So yes, we have a past of corruption, of mismanagement, of greed, of selfishness, and we're dealing with it. So give us a chance. That's all I can say. Thanks.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you for speaking out. And that was the last part. I enjoyed that you opened up more and you said the ANC has its problems and you admit it and all these things. So from my side also, I thank you for coming on. And so het 'n paar goeie gedodge. You dodged a couple of questions that you didn't want me to answer. You need to be fair to yourself also. Ek dink ja, die Byron wil ek solutions van ek het nou niks solutions nie. But yeah, but by saying that also, I wish you all of the luck for what you want to do, and I hope you do it with pure intentions, with a pure heart. As you say, and I don't want to use a religion. I'm a very very God-driven person. So what I do also, I do it with intentions, and I believe and. Religion is a guidance, be it Muslim, Islam or Christianity, what it's a guidance in life. But as long as you live with pure intentions, you shall not judge. So I won't judge you upon what you said, but I do hold you accountable from a human perspective of your actions as moving forward. So even though you're not in power, I would like you to still move forward to try and make changes in the Western Cape as much as you can, being an activist. Remember, you were not in charge in 1989, but you went to jail. Just take that back in your head. You went to jail for a reason. Gaan weer tronk toe, man. Even as die ANC jou wil in die tronk sit, know why you went to jail. You went to jail for the right reasons. We need that attitude moving forward. But with that said, also on my thing is, I would like people to give you a hearing here. And again, I'm not affiliated to no party. As I can see, he's a lovable supporter. Let jare struggle om die trophy to win, and now and he knows how to stick to one group, to one party. So I understand that. But jokes aside, I wish you all of the best moving forward. But I want you, as I said to all the politicians, I'll hold you accountable, and I wish to see you in the future, even though you're not in charge in the Western Cape, doing things that will make change. because that is what we need. Despite if you're not in charge, you're in charge. Because as soon that as you started off, the Cape Flats has not voted for the ANC, but it does not mean the ANC should neglect the Cape Flats. You get
Yes,
what I'm saying? You should be actually
100%.
the advocate and say, hey, my people hasn't voted. It's my people. Yes, I grow up there, I understand them. But don't neglect them. We need to understand them. We need to help them so they can know we're helping. Even though our house is rotten, people don't see us because you are not giving us the tools to help there. Then you'll get the votes. These votes come. It comes when you put in place. The ANC, the last person I respected in the ANC, you want to know who? Is Chris Hani. And he didn't even have a chance to watch. I'm a kid of literature, and I go look up these people. And
Salute,
that was
man.
a man I respected. Was assassinated. Rumors has it by his own people. Why? We can go deeper into that. So that's why we are we are today. If we go back to Christianity's philosophy, we will understand why the ANC is fought, why it fought for. You know, we don't want to just vote blindly for an ANC that does not exist anymore. We want to make an ANC that actually exists. I feel sorry for the people that's working in ward councillors and stuff because they probably still has the dream of the ANC, you know. But let's keep it going and push those people that's in power.
Thanks, Byron. I draw inspiration from what you're saying, and I want you to keep me accountable. I want you to keep me accountable. Yes, we fight. I fight in the ANC because my colleagues at the national level says, yeah, but why must we care about the colored people? They don't even vote for us. Why must we put up a quota system because they never vote for us? Why do we have to care? I fight that fight. I fight that fight because I believe in non-racialism. I believe in our communities, and you know um, I don't mobilize ethnically. So I can't mobilize just for coloreds or just for Muslims or just for Liverpool fans. I must be able to be above and say congratulations, man. Jy het mooi gespeel. I must be able to, even though I have my loyalty, my identity is clear. No one's going to change me, who I am, where I come from, my Islamic background, or my colors of my political parties. I must be able to see that. And so that's also, I'm here. You have made me opposition party. You didn't feel that I can rule for the last 10 years. I'm exposing the problems. I'm asking you, don't just vote because the swat gevaar. Don't just vote because um, there's more Africans in the ANC and they will want to take off. Because during Mandela, there was this thing, there was this big pamphlet. Ja, as die ANC in power kom, gaat julle what's it? Washing machines wegvat en die en here right vir julle vrou. There was stupid stuff. There was stupid stuff that the Nats played on our people. I'm asking for us as colored people to stop being cannon fodder. Don't be voting fodder for ANC, but also don't be voting fodder for those parties that don't really care for you. Look, they can bring their loud noises and all of those things, but think about where is your future. And if you see a young person, a new person that might not be from that party, but give them that chance. So that's what I'm asking. Just give us a fighting chance and keep us accountable. Like I say, I'm still fighting for. I fight for the underdog. I fight for the. I've always been someone that is pushing that boundaries, and I will push it in the ANC. I will push it in the communities. I push it even amongst my own people, my own family. Um, so I push that. I push the boundaries. But you know what? I will never forsake my community. I come from this community. I know us in all our glory, in all our warts, in all of those things. So this is a community that I'm committed to. This is a community that we will have to take with kicking and screaming. This community will become better. The new generation, we must get our lighties to study, to work, to take their opportunities, and we must be able to say to them, hey, this in this new South Africa, you're not black enough or you're not white enough. You enough. You are right. You okay. And we must be able to give them that opportunities. And we sometimes we need a quota system. Why can't we have a quota system here? Because in the Western Cape, the colored people is an ethnic majority. So why can't we have the ethnic majority have job reservations? So if they have in KZN Zulus are the majority, so therefore their premier must be Zulu. Why can't we have it here in Cape Town? Why can't we have, if the colours are the majority in the voting population of Cape Town, why can't a coloured be a mayor, or a coloured be a premier, or a coloured woman, or a woman be for a premier for that matter? Because the race do matter.
Sounds like you're fighting for the CCC now, but wees versigtig, né? Hulle gaan jou sê dat jy CCC toe gaan.
No. I'm just playing with ideas now. Because,
I know, man. I'm joking.
Okay, guys.
But thank you, man. Again, I know Stanley wanted to say something first before you go. So.
No. I just wanted to say yes. Thank you for joining us, and I just want to also say that my first vote was for the ANC. The day when I got my ID, I went to vote for the ANC. My mother then voted for the NP. But the ANC has disappointed us. Like you've mentioned, there's many things that they've disappointed us. We wanted a better, I didn't struggle, but I knew about the struggle. I knew what it was when they called my father a whatnot, when they called my mother mate, So there is things that I know of. But the ANC is going to have to work hard. They're going to have to come back stronger if they want to win. It's not going to be easy. That's one thing that I can tell, especially in Cape Town. Cape Town is a DA stronghold. And it's not otherwise, it is going to be like that. DA are winning here strategically. The ANC is going to have to come back with a plan of action, how they're going to give, the people of the Cape Town the opportunity forward. So thank you very much. It's much appreciated. I know where you live. I will keep you accountable. Ek weet exactly what they play. I was very good friends with your brother also, side. We were very close. So I do know you.
I just wanted to say, we to make a plain and layman's term, if you understand football, for this short time, we're treating the ANC as Arsenal. Until you start winning games consistently, we will have to trust in you. So now you understand what we mean.
No, it's fine. Look, at least if we're on the board and we're getting a fair game, that's it. And